going to do is we're going to go back to kind of those archetypes, but we're going to focus on two archetypes today. We're going to focus on the hero and the villain. Ooh. And we're going to think, are heroes and villains just in fairy tales and fables?
No.
No. We could characterize pretty much most characters in any of the books that we're reading as heroes or villains. So what I'm going to give you guys, you're going to use your notebook as your cover, is a T-chart. And on one side is good character, or in quotes, is hero. And on the other side is the bad character, or the villain. And what I want you to do when you first get it is not just put your name on it, but also think, what do you already expect to see in a hero or in a villain? Whether it's in a fairy tale, fable, chapter, book, that might just be fiction. Some of you guys I know have read Percy Jackson or 39 Clues or some of these other books. So right now is one of the few non-speaking times. When we were reading fairy tales and fables, we talked about how so many of them have been Disney-fied. Remember?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that Disney has done a great job of is getting these good heroes and these good villains. Because if you have a good villain and a good hero, you're going to have a good conflict. And the conflict can only be because of this relationship between the hero and the villain. And so we want to start focusing on why they're good that makes us feel strongly about them. Because that's where Disney makes its money. That's why some of these books become those classics for us. Like Percy Jackson for so many of you when we were reading Candy Makers, right? So what made those four become such heroes in so many different ways in that story? So what qualities do they have that help us to feel strong about it? So we're going to look at, with that lens, we're going to look at a couple movie clips. We're going to look at a couple different stories that some of you may or may not have read. But while we're watching them, we're not going to be right. Okay? And unlike times in the past, we're only going to watch it once. Okay? So we're watching it with that lens, knowing that we're going to get a chance to talk and stop and jot when we're done. Okay? So the first one that we're going to do is one of my favorite ones, and it's a classic hero versus villain. So we're going to be seeing Scar and Simba. And as we're watching it, we have to remember what makes Scar a good villain and what's making Simba in this clip a good hero.
Deserve to live.
Simba, I am eminently. It's the hyenas who are the real enemy. It was their fault. It was their idea.
Why should I believe you? Everything you ever told me was a lie.
What are you going to do? You wouldn't kill your own uncle.
No, Scar. I'm not like you.
Oh, Simba, thank you. You are truly noble. I'll make it up to you, I promise. How can I prove myself to you? Tell me anything.
Run. Run away, Scar. And never return.
Yes, of course. As you wish, Your Majesty.
What heroic qualities and what villainous qualities did you see?
Very nice. He's courageous. He doesn't because I saw that the hero, which was Simba, he was really brave and he wouldn't even though he would be willing to kill Scar, but didn't make him banned because he's there's still even the heroes are still fighting, there's still kind and
while you're talking or after you're done?
And like, I think even though the villain is evil, I think they still have to have like good plans because usually they're sort of dumb for like doing what they are doing, like bad things because it can hurt other people. But they're smart in what they're doing to future here. Haley, do you have something to add?
Maybe they're like fool you, like fool the person that is on their side, but you get to like start the kindness.
Yeah.
Strongly about Scar. How many of you were mad at Scar for how he was treating Simba? So remember, we want to keep the lens on. What are those qualities that help us feel strongly? How many of us were hoping that Simba would win? How many of us realize that Simba is the opposite of Scar? What we're going to be focusing on this clip is for the hero. What pushes our thinking about qualities of heroes?
I want my freedom. But are you willing to pay the price your freedom will cost? Careful what you wish for, my mother would say.
What's the worst that could happen? No more fighting! Show a little decorum! Feast your eyes!
If you had the chance to change your fate, would you?
So brave. What's bravery? What does a hero need? Don't just write brave. What did we see exhibiting bravery? Boys right here held on to the bear aspect and what a hero would do. Most people, when a bear's in front of us, we would run. I know I would. And they were talking about a true hero if they needed to defend would never back down. If we hear good thoughts, can we write those down? Even if they weren't mine or my partner's thoughts? Okay, so we just watched with the lens of looking at the hero. So who do you think we're going to look at the lens of watching right now? The villain. Okay, so remember, we have to have a good villain to have a good hero and good conflict, right? So we're going to a classic Disney-fied version of
Oh my gosh!
villain.
Well, that was a bit loud, but
So we are watching it as what qualities, what characteristics do good villains have?
Silence! You tell those fools to... No. No.
So how many of you are realizing that if you write a quality for a good hero, you also have a quality for a villain? They just need to be what? A lot of us were noticing that physical characteristics for a villain, a lot of times, are just as important as the way in which they act. Also, I was noticing, I was hearing over here somewhere, I don't know who I heard it from, that heroes a lot of times take up different physical characteristics. They're not always big and strong like Simba. Was the girl in Brave big and strong like Simba? No. So we need to know that sometimes our heroes are going to look a little bit different. So only because they were talking about it, and we know we're expecting to connect, I'm going to read from one of my favorite series. I feel you. It was a woman's hoarse whisper, raspy and dry, as if she had sand in her throat. Goose flesh rippled up Finn's arms and down his spine. He was freezing now. You don't belong here. Go away. The sound of footsteps moved slowly away from his teepee and continued on to the next. Take a moment. What qualities did we learn about a villain?
that they're
Turn it on.
Type of cold. Yeah, curse cold.
And I know we have two friends in here that did not experience Summer Reading is Killing Me. Who is the villain?
The giant teddy bear.
Teddy bear.
Maleficent. A teddy bear. So moving away from physical qualities to inner qualities.
So you're saying I can, yeah, that a lot of villains. So there's a lot of villains, but what did you just tell me? They lie.
One of the things, if you're finding yourself stuck, is go to a character that you know is a hero or villain and try to explain that. Think about some of those things. Nico had a great thought that he realized about heroes. What did you say, Nico?
I said that like you work with sidekicks and or either like you work by yourself or you work with sidekicks and you still be stronger or something like that.
Right. Could you guys all hear him? He said that heroes, he's noticing that a lot of heroes are working with sidekicks.
Batman and Robin.
Ooh. Think of the heroes that we've met this year. So we're going to go to one of my favorite books and hear about some unlikely heroes. And this is from the Mysterious Benedict Society. All of you answered correctly, said Mr. Benedict. You're all gifted children who passed my boring test in one way or another. And you've all shown yourselves to be unusually resourceful. You're going to choose the villain side or the hero side. And you are going to write what makes a good villain or what makes a good hero. And you need to write it to persuade me to feel that you know all the qualities or the qualities that are the most important to you for any villain to have.
Or hero.
You can pull out any villain or hero that you know. You can use Percy Jackson. You can use Jason. You can use Amy or Dan. Or for me, I kept thinking last night about Coke and Pepsi and Daphne and Sabrina. Coke and Pepsi are from the Genius Five. Have 16 minutes. You can keep adding to this. Yes. And on the back is where you want to start writing what your best villain or best hero, what qualities do they need to have.